Hello everyone, my name is Marie. The subject of my presentation is multimedia project, comparison between Australian and Chinese country music. This project is an individual project. I've divided my presentation into four main parts, just to give you a brief overview. The first part is project definition. The second is project form, then touch on project content, and finally discuss project significance. Let's start with the part 1 project definition. The project definition analyzes and compares country music in Australia and China and promotes Australian country music to Chinese audience. The inspiration for the project is entirely my personal hobby, my love for music and radio since childhood. Diana Cost advice gave me a good advice, so I decided to do this multimedia project comparing country music. However, in people's consciousness, country music is mainly to praise the country life, represented by American country music. Australian country music is similar to Western country music, and I believe everyone is familiar with it. However, because the Chinese language is so extensive and profound, Chinese translation of country music is also called folk music in China. Folk music ballad literally has three meanings in Chinese characters. One is traditional Chinese folk music, dating back 7,000 years to Chinese classic music. The other refers to national ballads, referred to as ethnic music. There are 56 ethnic groups in China, and ballads are the music of ethnic minorities, such as Tibet, Uyghur, and Dong extra. The last one refers to campus folk songs, which originated in Taiwan in the middle 1970s. This project mainly studies differences between Chinese campus folk music and Australian country music. It has nothing to do with the other two types of Chinese folk music. Meanwhile, deliverables for the project include research report, draft content for blogs and bilingual broadcasters. Final project of the blog and the bilingual broadcast and reflection essay. This project's blog and bilingual broadcast will be updated as the content on the Postguard website for Sunwen. Okay, let's move on to part 2, project form. As I mentioned earlier, this is a multimedia project, so it mainly includes a blog in text form and a bilingual broadcast in audio form. It also includes a research report at the beginning of the project and a reflection essay at the end of the project. The third part of the project content is an important part of this project and the presentation. First of all, the research report of the project will analyze Australian country music and Chinese country music respectively from the definition, content form, and the performance form of country music. Now I would like to look at this with more details. Through research and analysis, there are two similarities between country music in Australia and China. On the one hand, their performances are based on guitar playing and singing. Whether it's a band or a singer, the main form of performance is the guitar strumming and singing. Like Slim Dusty, Paul Kelly, Chinese campus folk song represent Lao Lang and so on. Guitar playing seems to have become the symbol of country music around the world. On the other hand, the singing style is mainly in the form of a narrative, just like the dialogue between friends, which makes audience feel intimate and real. Moreover, there are differences in the definition, content of the song and the style of country music. The differences in the definition of country music has been mentioned before and will not be repeated here. In addition, Australian country music, as its name implies, is country life, like farms, tracks, the bush extra, while Chinese campus folk songs are mainly about campus life, such as people's love, friendship, and the priority of real life, which has nothing to do with rural life. Furthermore, some style, Australian country music still retains the style of traditional country music. The characteristic of country music can be clearly heard from the tone and the song content. The style of Chinese campus folk music now resemble pop music in some way. Now you may be wondering, how do research reports and major projects relate? Both the blog and the bilingual broadcast are based on research reports. It can be said that the project content is a presentation of the research, or that the research is the basis of the major project content. The two are mutually reinforcing. As you can see, the topic of the blog is My Best Friend Country Music. This topic is different from some changes in my earlier project implementation plan. After the progress of the course, I think the personified form of country music can attract the audience more, and also a narrative way explanation of country music as I understand it. Meanwhile, the blog introduced Australia country music and Chinese country music, respectively, as well as the influence of country music on Chinese audience. In the next part, I shall expand on bilingual broadcasting content. The title of the bilingual broadcast is Why Pop Was No Beer, special on Slim Dusty country music. By combining my experience of living in Australia for nearly 3 years with Slim Dusty's music, I introduced the background of his music creation and Australia culture expressed in his music to Chinese audience. Okay, let's move on to part 4, project significance. It's sufficient to say that after studying Australian and Chinese country music, I become more aware of the differences and similarities between them and recommended Australian country music to Chinese audience. In order to promote country music to the Chinese audience, we will look at the influence of country music in China and the audience priority. According to the 2018 Music Consumer Insight Report, country music is the fourth most popular genre in China, based on the Air Research Click community online research. The audience of country music in China is around 35 to over 45 years old. This generation is familiar with the Capitals, the Beatles, and have their own understanding of music. They're generally married, have mature ideas and pursuits, and know a little about Western culture. The attraction of Australian country music to Chinese audience mainly lies in the understanding of Australian culture and learning English. Australian country music is all about recording and yearning for the facts of life. People can find a lot of shadow of Australian culture in lyrics. For example, check jog life, how to make gravy extra. I have to say, Porky's music is where I wanted to learn how to make gravy. Also, we know listen to music is one of the best ways to learn a new language. Okay, now I would like to finish my presentation with my reflections on the project. At present, the project is nearly the end, and I have completed the report research, the blog, and the bilingual broadcast draft, and finished the product. I'm working on a reflection essay now. The project implementation plan is very important. Schedule and follow the plan properly so that the project can be successfully completed on time. However, I think the initial research on the project would have been more detailed, and the influence and the analysis of Western country music in China can be more detailed and comprehensive. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thanks for your listening and watching.